Welcome. Now we are going to start with the second part of the welding process. This video series is the welding series which is generally recommended for the people going in for API ICP examination. That is going to be API 650, 653, API 510 and API 570. Tank inspection, pressure vessel inspection and piping in service examination. We have already seen what is ASME section 9, what are some clauses in the ASME section 9, how welder qualification is done, what is P number, what is F number, what is WPS, what is PQR, what is welder performance qualification. We have seen all of those things, but as per the API examination or API 653, 570 or 510, the inspector is recommended to verify that all the repair welding and alteration welding is as per the requirements given in API 577. So this 577 document is a recommended practice that helps the inspector to understand and verify all the welding operation that is done in accordance with this code. So we have generally seen ASME section 9 because this document is going to refer a lot to ASME section 9, but this document will have various other features also. This document will tell you that what should be the quality control process. This document will also tell you that what are some non-destructive examinations that you can do. Which non-destructive examination is going to be better for what kind of discontinuities. How to verify the WPS, how to verify the PQR. All of these things are going to be laid down by 577. So mainly the inspector is going to refer 577 while doing welding inspection, and sometimes he might need to refer ASME section 9 where API 577 tells you to refer ASME section 9. Okay, so let's go ahead with this document. So again, this is a bigger document. It is approximately 200 pages. It's approximately 150 or 160 pages of the document, and then you have some annexes attached to it. It's very simple. Just a normal welding scope is given here. What are some welding processes? What are some non-destructive testings and all of those things. But we'll go ahead. So the first section is scope, second section is reference, third section is definitions. These three are always common in all kind of documents. Then fourth section is welding process. So different kinds of welding processes are listed out. Some description, some short description about those welding process, some advantages, limitations about those welding process. Then section 5 is going to be welding materials, the general welding materials, what is P number for base metal, what is F number for filler metal. This we have already seen. When we were talking about ASME section 9. Then what is welding procedure, welder qualification, non-destructive examinations, welding inspection, metallurgy, and refinery and petrochemical plant welding issues. Then in section 12 is you going to have safety precautions, and then you have annexes. There are approximately 7 annexes available here. Okay. So let's go on with the scope. This recommended practices provides the guidance to the API authorized inspector on welding inspection as encountered with fabrication and repair of the refineries and chemical plant equipments and piping and pipelines and other related industries. So this is going to be used for API authorized inspector generally in chemical or petrochemical industries. Now this authorized inspector can be authorized inspector for any kind of equipment. It can be a tank inspector, it can be a pressure vessel inspector, or it can be a piping inspector. This recommended practice includes a description of common welding processes, welding procedures, welder qualifications, metallurgical effects from welding and inspection techniques to aid the inspector in fulfilling their role implementing in API 510, 570, 653 and 582. So this is just a document that will tell you how to do inspection. This document is not intended to replace the authorized welding inspector, which is generally given by AWS or AWS CWI or TWI CSWIP. So it is not meant to replace it. It is just a guidance that is given to the inspector that a welding operation needs to be inspected like this. So level of training and obtained from this documentation is not a replacement for training and experience required to be a certified welding inspector under one of the established welding certification programs such as AWS, CWI, Canadian or European equivalent schemes such as CWB, Canadian Welding Bureau, CSWIB, PCN or EFW. This recommended practice does not require all welds to be inspected, nor it requires weld to be inspected to a specific technique or extent. A welding engineer should be consulted on any critical, specialized or complex welding issues. Okay. Then you have normative references. These references are the references that are used to make these documents. Just read them. Next is terms and definition. We already know some terms and definitions. These are common with the entire API authorized inspection references. They are generally same. The definitions are also generally same. It has to be read at least once to understand. If some of the definitions you don't understand, generally read once and that's about it. Okay. So then you have acronyms, various acronyms that are used throughout this document. First, let's understand. Okay, so now we have seen that there is something known as ASME Section 9 that is generally used for welding qualification, welder qualifications, used to make a WPS, a PQR, a welder performance qualification. It tells you various variables about welding. Some are essential, some are non-essential, some are supplementary variables. And in API 577, which is recommended for the inspector to review any welding operation that is done in repair and alteration for chemical or petrochemical industries for authorized inspector. The authorized inspector can be a pressure vessel authorized inspector, that is 510, tank authorized inspector, that is 653, and a piping authorized inspector, that is 570. The first three sections are relatively very easy. The first section will tell you about the scope of this document. The second section will tell you about the references this document generally uses, and the third section will tell you about various definitions and acronyms that are used throughout this document. In the next video, we'll go in the meat of this section, meat of this recommended practice. So in the next section, we'll see at section 4, that is different kinds of welding processes that can be used. Mostly 4 or 5 welding processes are most widely used, but this document will lay down what are some various types of welding process that can be done, what are the brief nature of them, and what are some advantages and limitations of it, what are some working principles of it. Okay, so in the next section, in the next video, we'll see section 4, which is different kind of welding processes. Okay.